So let's do a removing statement, and we'll just say remove, and we'll do grades, and I'm not going to do anything else, and I just want you to see what happens. Just keep an eye out here. This is not actually the removal of a record from a vector yet, we'll get to it soon. So if you do a run of this, suddenly grades has disappeared from these values. And this is what is called our global environment. So the remove actually does a removal of the object from our environment. So instead of doing, say, the removal of a certain record from this object, it's removing that object from the environment itself. And this is sometimes useful since you may want to get rid of that object and then sort of reinitialize that object and create it in a different manner. And you might be needing that when you're working with your console. So sometimes you might want to rebind your reference variable to a different object. And if you want to do that, you will have to get rid of that object. So that's not what we want to take a look at here. However, that was something interesting which I wanted to show you to you. The way that removing works here is that if you think about what removing's actually doing, what removing is doing is it's basically subsetting. And if you think about how we did subsetting, if you scroll up here, we used our indices here, and we used some of these values, which were the selection vector, and we removed the values we didn't want. So if you want to remove a certain value from a vector, all you have to do is to say grades and say you want only the values which are from 1 through 4, and you don't want the value that is the fifth value, and you want the values from 6 all the way to the end. So we'll do length and we'll do grades. Let's encapsulate this inside our method. Let's do a run of that, and you can see object is not found since we have gotten rid of the grades object. Let's go back up here. Let's run this, and then now let's do a run of grades, and let's now print out what grades is. And you can see that in the previous version we had the value of 100. Now the value is now missing. So you can do removal, which is basically the same thing as subsetting. However, if you didn't think of that as subsetting, now you know, and now you can do your removal based on the methods that we learned for subsetting up here. So with that, let's move on to the common functions that are available to us when we're working with vectors.